going, 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 going. I want back here. You should take me.
Hello, gorgeous. Today we're going to paint glorious flowers, and this is a beginner watercolors video. It's dedicated to all of you guys who want to try painting, maybe for the first time, or you want to loosen up your artwork. We're just going to paint some glorious flowers from the garden. This video was requested by Derp Bird, and it's for beginners, so let's go. I have been painting these little bookmarks, and just very, very fun, different designs based on what I find in the garden. I use a 5x7-inch watercolor paper that I cut in half. I punch a little hole, and I paint very loose colors and outline the shapes with a waterproof pen. And just keeping the shapes very loose, but giving them definition. That pen really makes it pop out. So you'll be able to use the techniques from this video and apply them to any kind of flowers that you might have in your garden. So we're going to start with just water, just clean water, and spread it all over. Basically, thinking about the composition, I'm going to make it kind of a round shape of roses, and I'm not following exactly the bouquet that I have. I'm just taking it as inspiration, but I'm covering the area with water where I think I'm going to have the flowers. And then I'm going to put a light wash of pink. And what you want to think about in watercolors is, where are the lightest colors going to go? Because you can always make watercolors darker, but you can't go backwards and make them lighter. So we put the lightest color on first, and then we'll layer on the shadows. It's a very different approach than what I have previously done, which is a lot of acrylic paint, which is, I think of that more as sculpting, like painting things from back to forward. With watercolors, it's about light to dark. So you can paint a shape like this along with me and allow your paints to have natural variations in light and dark. Now the dark, you keep in mind the darker portions will be shadows. The lighter portions will be the parts where the petals come up towards you and catch the light. Now we let that layer completely dry, and I actually use a hairdryer to speed up the process. And now we can layer on the midtones, the second darkest value of the pink. So we think in terms of color values: light, midtones, and darks. And I am actually outlining petals. And like I said, I'm not copying each petal like a real rose. I am looking at them and getting the general shapes. And it depends on what kind of detail and how much time you want to spend on your painting. You can copy each petal and get each shape, and that's really good to do a study. But if you want to just have fun, then just outline the general shapes, and it gives it a completely different style too. You might want to have just a very loose, fun style, and so just, get the general idea of the petals, and that's fine. So I'm just outlining where I want my petals to go. Now I'm going to speed up the process here, but you can see what I'm doing and you can apply it to yours as well. What I really want is for you to get the idea of layering and the general shapes of the petals and the roses, but you don't have to copy every little shape exactly like I'm doing it. I want you to just really get the flow of the watercolors and feel free to express yourself as you're painting these beautiful blossoms. So I actually skipped ahead a little bit, but I traced some of the shapes that I saw and looked at my roses here. And now I'm going to go back and start to shade the petals that I have. So based on the shapes that I have put down, I can now easily add midtones to these shapes and add shadows to make it look like the petals have dimension. This is really, really easy. I want to make sure I dry the paper in between each layer and then go back and then start to add shadows. And after this step, we'll add the darks. Notice how I'm getting up underneath those contours so that it looks like there's shadows. And then I'm leaving the lighter parts at the end of the petals so it looks like light is shining on them where they're lifted up. And that's how I'm able to create it looks very complex, but it's a very simple process actually. And once we have our petals shaded, we'll go and add some ochre to a few of the middles of the roses. And we'll let that dry and add some pen over it to make the little details of the pollen in the middle of the roses. Now we're going to add some lavender. I really like how the dark purple lavender contrasts with the roses, and it's just little purple spots basically, little purple spots, and then we go over them with a little bit darker, so lighter purple, and then once that's dry we'll go back and add some darker purple at the base of those little spots to give it some dimension. Now I'm adding a little leaf, and you can add as much greenery as you like and just work with your composition. It depends if you're doing a bookmark or a piece like this 9x12, how you want to work your composition. I just added one little leaf right here, but the greenery is nice for shaping your composition. I'm adding some green to the lavender, and then I have some cilantro flowers. Also, those little white ones are cilantro flowers, and I'm going to add some cilantro flowers to the middle of my composition. You'll see right out here, these are the cilantro leaves. I'll have some out here, but I'm also going to add some in the middle of the bouquet with the roses. So some of the very light white spots that I've left are going to be cilantro flowers that I outline with pen. Now we're going in with our final layer of paint, and this will be our darks. So you can create values with watercolors by using more or less water. You probably noticed that by now. You use more water to make lighter colors and less water to make darker colors. So this is our darkest pink, less water, more paint. And I'm just going in and putting the darkest shadows. And you can see that it's really starting to pop out. Some of the petals are really getting lifted up from the rest of the composition by adding this final layer. And once I add all of this, I'll make sure it's perfectly dry. I'll use my hair dryer, and then we'll go back in and use the waterproof pen to do our final step. And our final step is the waterproof pen. So here I am loosely outlining the flowers. You can outline every element that you have or just some. If you have a real focal point in your picture, just use the pen on that and it will bring the eye right to that portion of the picture. So I'm just outlining, I would say three-quarters of the picture. Oh, and there's my cilantro flowers. See how they popped out? So it's totally up to you how much you want to outline. It really changes the look of the composition. Some people may want to use just watercolors and some may want to outline it like this. And so this is our completed work. I hope you really enjoyed that. Give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I love your comments. Let me know what else you would like to draw in the future. So thank you so much for watching and stay creative, my friend.